Okay, we will resume our hearings, and to try and be as efficient as possible and simplify, the next steps in the process are going to be that Mr. Mara, who represents many of the residents, is going to ask questions of Mr. Fusaro and the applicant, and then Mr. Barrett will call witnesses in support of the project, and Mr. Mara will call witnesses in opposition to the project. So,
All of whom will be subject to questioning.
yeah, there the opportunity to ask questions in all cases. Anyone who wishes to speak, whether they're on the sign-in sheet or not, and you know, you're welcome to do that, but we'll work our way through that in the process.
We would appreciate it if you would, only be so the court reporter will have all the names and spellings and everything, otherwise it's difficult if we don't have that.
And reminder, again, we'll ask you to confirm that you have been sworn in, but at this point, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to turn it over to you, and Mr. Fusaro,
Thank you.
you answer some questions.
Before he does that, let me just point out to the crowd and Mr. Barrett's been given a copy of this, but Mr. Barrett presented the board with a list of people that he represents, which is quite extensive on here, so I think we're giving him a little more leeway with cross-examination because he is an attorney and representing the people, and hopefully that will cut down on the number of other questions that need to be asked.
One other thing too, as we begin, please make sure that all your phones and electronic devices are silenced, please.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. My name, for everyone's benefit, is Tim Mara, and I'm the attorney for the 60 or so people listed on the document to which Mr. Miller has made a reference, and I would ask that this to be made a part of the record for purposes of further appeal if that comes to that. And Mr. Fusaro has been sworn, and I appreciate that he took a 10-minute break. for this meeting cross-examination. I would like to pass out to the members of the board a document which I will speak to Mr. Facero about next. So you were going to share, I'll give it his own time. Mr. Facero, I have handed you a document which says on, as a title on page 1, Pages on Property Values for Higher Density Myths and Facts by ULI. Have you seen this document before?
I've seen the parts of it,
Which parts have you seen?
well, the summary, I've seen.
We're talking about the 3 pages from ULI?
Look at just the front page. The rest of it,
Greg, could you utilize the microphone?
Sorry about that,
Yeah.
sorry. I have to look through it first to tell you an answer to that.
All right, we'll take your time.
Okay? Okay, the Facts Matter Addison article, I have not seen before.
Which,
It's pages 1 through 10 at the end of what you gave me, or 1 through 6 of 10.
and which parts have you seen?
I have seen portions of the property values near Rookwood study that Kristen in our office did. I have not looked through all the data of it.
Can you confirm that this exhibit was in fact given to many of the homeowners in the vicinity by, I think it was Mr. Dial?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yes, I think it is.
And did you participate in the preparation of that Rookwood study at the last several pages of this packet?
Only from the standpoint of just discussing it with Christian when he went out and did the research.
So he's the one I should talk to regarding this document.
In terms of specific property values and selections of properties?
Is that
Yes.
true? Okay, well, we speak with him.
Okay.
So we'll turn to, by the way, have you ever been to Hale Plantation in Gainesville, Florida?
I have not.
Have you ever been to the Echelon in Texas?
Where is it?
Well, they talk about it.
No, I have not been to Plano.
You've obviously been to Rookwood.
I have.
So we're gonna skip on then to talk about consistency with adopted plans and policies. Am I correct that the subject site was identified in the 2008 plan as critical area number 8? Well, I'm referring to the plan itself. Better yet, a large map to look at. For the plan. It's an enlargement, makes it a little easier to look at. Am I correct that site number 8 is your site?
Yes, that's correct.
And the plan designates that as mixed use?
That's correct.
And how does the plan define mixed use?
Which plan?
that's a good question. Tell us, let's find out the 2008 plan.
I don't have that plan in front of me, so I can't read it.
Page 4
Okay.
of that plan. And read for us the two mixed-use categories, residence, mixed use, and transition.
I believe you're reading the 2002 plan.
All right. Go ahead and read the description of what mixed use is.
Well,
I just
this,
don't want to, for the record, the exhibit is referring to the 2008 land use plan. The text that he's referring to is the 2002.
the map that shows the colors for different land uses, which shows site 8 as mixed use, under the plan that you've put in front of me is office.
Now, isn't it true that mixed use is what the designation is of this particular site currently?
The designation of the current site in terms of zoning is
And
SPI
on the-
overlay.
On the plan,
On this plan,
on
is
any
mixed use.
plans, which plan? Whether you choose to refer to the 2008 or 2002 plan, how is it designated?
On this map, it's designated mixed use.
Right.
Okay? You've asked me to describe mixed use here,
Mhm.
and this has a pink category, which is mixed use retail.
Okay, then just read for us what mixed use retail is.
Detached or attached housing, low-intensity office, low-intensity neighborhood type retail, and related compatible uses that provide a transition between residential uses and other types of development.
And there's a second paragraph.
Typically 1- and 2-story structures of scale, massing, intensity, layout, and specifications compatible with site constraints and character of surrounding residential development.
And you would acknowledge that your proposal does not meet that last paragraph being
I'm going to object to that.
1 or 2-story
I'm going to
structure.
object. Mr. Mayor is reading language from the 2002 document, which was superseded by the rezoning to SPI in 2004. That's a misleading question.
Well, I disagree with you, so answer the question and the.
My interpretation of the zoning code is that the site was effectively rezoned in 2004 by the SPI overlay.
So it's D with an SPI overlay, and the intent is that it be used for mixed use, is that correct?
If you look at the SPI definitions, you'll see that the SPI contemplates and utilizes much higher density development than the underlying D zoning.
Show me where in the code it says higher density.
Be happy to if somebody's got a full code here.
The full code is right in front of you.
This is a land use plan.
Now, go to the beginning of the book.
Permitted uses, this is in section 8.2.3.1.2. Permitted uses within this overlay district shall be as follows and is further identified in table 3-4. Table of permissible retail, commercial, and service uses, office, retail, shopping, public service uses, recreation. S2, any use listed above, ISR above 0.5. Now, ISR refers to impervious surface area. And if you have an ISR above 0.5, if you do the calculation, you're going to utilize over 50% of the available land for buildings and or parking.
Are you looking at page 67 of the code?
I'm looking at page 66.
Look at the tables on page 67.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't say it's a maximum floor area ratio of 50%.
Under table 8-1, yes, it does, but that's why the SPI is there, is to allow for ISRs above 50%.
And where do you see where it says?
Specifically says that in section 8-2.3.1.2,
And your ISR is what?
77.
for everyone's benefit, that's impervious surface ratio. So the percent of the site covered by buildings and pavement is over 75%, is that correct?
That's correct.
Way more than 50%. Is that correct?
It's more than 50%.
Half again as much.
Well, I'm not doing that calculation, but it's permitted.
All right, I may not be the best person in math, but it looks like it's over half again as much. All right, well, let's move on and talk about trees. Trees on this particular site. I'm sorry. This is not as long as I would. And I can't get closer. This is what happens when your hands are shorter. But the section 8-1.3F of the zoning resolution, you're free to look at it if you wish, says that the SPI overlay designation is intended to protect the public from loss or destruction of mature and valuable trees and other natural resources. Have you preserved any existing trees on the site?
We will make attempts to preserve trees that we can based on the limits of construction that we need to build the buildings. We are more than tripling the
I'm
number
not
of trees
interested. I
that
want
will
to
be on the
know,
site.
are you preserving
from-
any trees that
I
exist?
just responded to that.
Is yes or no?
I just said, we're gonna make efforts to preserve any trees on the site that we can, based on where our construction limits will be. That's the best answer I can give you,
You haven't
because,
shown the trustees any construction limits, have you?
yes, I have.
Where is it shown? What area is beyond your construction limits?
Should be.
Hold on a second.
Drawing C202 shows the limits of construction. And generally, most of the site will be graded for construction. The southwest corner of the site will not be, and there are areas along the west portion of the site that will not be as well. And there are trees along that boundary line that may or may not be able to be saved. I can't answer that
You
question.
can't answer the question today, so you're reserving the right to take away every tree that exists, is that correct?
What I said was, I'm not reserving any right. I show you where the construction limits are, and to the best of my knowledge, we're gonna preserve whatever trees we can that are along that western boundary.
Now, we had, I think you told me there were 20 large trees on the site presently, is that correct? Is that your testimony?
26, 27.
Now, it may come down to a definition of what is a large tree. I walked that entire site myself, and I counted over 70 significantly large trees. So would you tell me what your definition of a large tree is?
No.
You won't tell me or you don't know?
I don't have a specific definition for a large tree. And all I can tell you is that there are a lot of trees along those property lines that are not on our property. And so those are not in my count. And unless we would go out there and look at every tree, I can't tell you what significant size is. What I can tell you is that, yeah, most of the trees on that site will be gone with our construction.
Do you agree with me that trees provide oxygen and improve air quality?
It really depends whether it's deciduous or evergreen, but deciduous trees do provide, give off oxygen, so yeah, I agree with that. And really, when you look at, if you want to then start looking at the amount of leaf surface that'll be there pre-construction and post-construction, we'll probably have more.
Would you agree with me that trees absorb pollutants?
I can't speak to that.
So you can't tell me any more about the value of trees, I guess is what I'm getting at, in terms of health.
I cannot.
Do you agree that trees deflect sunlight, reduce the heat? in the area?
Deciduous trees deflect sunlight without question in the summer. They don't do much in the winter.
The pavement and rooftops create a heat island sometimes, don't they?
Well, I think all buildings have the ability to do that.
And the reason I bring that up is Kathy Kugler could not be here this evening. I sent you all gentlemen a more detailed analysis, the value of trees in public health. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit more about property, the ownership of the site. Am I correct that you said there are 22 parcels on the site?
That is correct.
Does your company own all 22 parcels?
We do not.
How many parcels do you not own?
2.
Those are the 2 owned by Mr. Breitling, is that correct, or trust?
Biting.
I'm sorry?
Biting Trust.
2 out of 20. Now, I look at the auditor's site regarding ownership, and I see that there are none of the 22 parcels are in the name of Capital Investment Group. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So tell me how you come to the conclusion that you own 20 of those 22 parcels.
Well, the applicant, which includes Capital Investment Group, Capital Investment Development Group, and several other LLCs that we control, have purchased those properties.
Would that include Sycamore Creek Sept 2 LLC?
I believe that's correct in the day.
Are you the owner of that LLC?
One of our companies is, yes.
The sole owner?
I don't know. I'd have to look at the operating agreement to tell you that.
Trying to understand what control you have over the parcels.
We have control over the parcels.
Another LLC is HWS Property Investments LLC. Does your company also own that LLC?
Yes,
100%?
yes.
Are there any other partners or owners besides Capital?
There are individuals that are in those operating agreements that are in our company,
You say they're in your company, are they employees or partners or shareholders?
partners.
None other than the partners?
Please,
Nobody else other than partners?
meaning, I don't
Do
understand.
they
what you
own any
mean by
share of
that.
HWS?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, and another LLC is 7974 Festive Court 2 LLC.
Yes, I believe we own that too.
100%?
Yes,
And what about, let's see, it's the 4th. Kenwood Partners LLC,
yes,
same thing?
we own 100%.
Why are they involved as opposed to just buying those properties